Hi, I'm Angela Fehr, and welcome to World Watercolor Month. All through July, we are celebrating the beauty and transparency of watercolor, the beautiful colors, the flow, just the joy of creating in watercolor with fellow watercolor lovers all over the world. This internationally recognized celebration is hosted by doodlewash.com, and you can find more information about everything we're doing for World Watercolor Month, how you can support a great charity at worldwatercolormonth.com. My job, however, is just to help you love watercolor just a little bit more. That's really what I'm all about as an art instructor, is empowering you to love your watercolor journey. And I want to tell you today a secret to creating really exciting creative work, artwork that stands out and is truly unique. I know that we often start out painting wanting to grow skill and get better at watercolor and just paint what we see. But as we grow, we also find a deeper desire, a desire to express ourselves, to paint in our way and discover our personal style. Learning to be creative in watercolor means you have to be willing to get a little bit weird, and weird in a good way. We get busy as artists trying to paint work to please other people, and when we forget about our own inner quirks, our desires, the things that get us excited, the things that we can't always explain because they're really internalized, those are things that we want to come out in our artwork so that we can create authentic work. And believe it or not, when you start to let your natural weirdness come out on your paintings, people connect to it. It brings your work to life and gives it an authenticity that you won't see in any other way. You know, there's just a lot that can hold me back from really painting from the heart. And so when I come into the studio, my very first goal before I start painting is to work very hard at getting into a state of play, to finally loosen up and be the person I was made to be. I want to show you one of the ways that I do that in today's video demonstration. This is going to be a lot of fun. Be willing to let yourself digress from what I'm sharing in the video. If you feel an inkling of an idea, a what if that starts to happen in your brain, follow that trail. Don't feel like you need to copy me. This really is about finding you in your paintings. As artists, we connect best when we're willing to show the world who we are in our paintings. So let's try to do that today by starting out with a little bit of fun. Let's play. Today I wanted to try something different, and that is I've got this little beeswax candle. I thought it would be fun to use this. You can see I've already been melting it for watercolor batik painting, which was really fun to do. But this time I'm thinking that it might be nice to use it to draw on my paper and use it as a resist. The wax will resist the watercolor, so anywhere I place wax, I'm not going to be able to place paint, and that means I have to be a little bit careful where I put it, and also I'm going to have to improvise my painting based on where the paint's going to want to stick to. So I think that's kind of an interesting idea. I'm a little timid about it, but let's just go for it and see where we end up. I'm just going to pull a shape here, imagining it in my head, so kind of vertically up here with the very broad side of the wax. And then let's see, maybe I'll use the edge as well to create a finer line. Another thing I like to do is little challenges. I was actually thinking a fun subject for this video would be to paint a painting using only palette dirt, only the gunky stuff in the middle of the palette. I'm not going to do that, but I am going to use my palette dirt for my underpainting, and that's going to bring that wax to life and help us see it, and then from there we should be able to choose a direction to take this painting. I feel like a playful start really wakes up my creative juices. Our creativity is always at its best when we're problem solving, when we're forced by limitations to improvise. And limitations can be all kinds of things. They can be a lack of skill, not knowing what our options are. They can be not having the right tools. They can be an area of the paper that's resisting the paint. Look at how that's going to change our painting. So now I can see those resist marks, and there's really no big bold place of resistance except for right up here I kind of wish it had carried down a little bit more, and I guess I could have pressed harder with my candle. This is a learning process. Of course, anywhere I would have pressed hard, I would have been committed. So we've got our palette dirt, that's showing us where our shapes are. And then we can choose a color to paint around them. And I'm choosing this Deep Scarlet by Daniel Smith. I'm going to do a little wet and wet painting right now. So let's just see where this takes us. At this point, you might start seeing shapes in your scene. And so you might already be thinking of things to paint. And I don't like to be unduly influenced by those shapes because I like letting a painting kind of guide me throughout the process. As soon as I start getting locked in, I stop being playful, stop being bold and brave. So let's try to be a little bold. I am kind of still thinking of that strong vertical shape that I placed at the beginning though, and I am wanting to work around that. And then I like the gray blue color that was in my palette with my palette dirt. So let's see if we can't include more of that, maybe in a darker color. There we go. Let's see how that plays on this painting. I love that red and gray combination. And you can see because I saturated the paper with those strokes of wet palette dirt, I'm getting lots of really nice fluidity at this stage. And for this, it's really important. I think a lot of times we think when we're doing playful painting that we're going to use our junky paper. But if you want to have flow, if you want to see your paint move like this, and if you want to extend your drying time, it really helps to have 100% cotton paper. I'm going to blue up my gray mixture a little bit more. Blue up, that's a word, that's a phrase, right? And and that kind of yellow green that was in my other shade of palette dirt has given us these beautiful light areas too. We're going to have to try to figure out if we can reproduce that color as well. So I like the candle, but I almost feel like it would have been fun to plan even more white space in this painting. But it does give this beautiful texture to my scene. I'm trying to leave light and dark areas in my painting. That's the main priority right now, and have that warm and cool pattern as well. And anytime I'm painting playfully, I'm focused on pattern. I'm focused on light and dark and warm and cool. I'm focused on maybe soft and strong as well. So a strong shape might be countered or balanced by some softer shapes. And that's a good perspective to have, is that, you know, every action has that equal and opposite reaction. That understanding of, you know, every time you do something, you also, I don't know, undo something. I don't know. Anytime you add a dark, you also create a light. And anytime you add a warm color, other colors are going to look cooler. Anytime you add a big shape, other shapes are going to look smaller, and it changes your painting. So I look for ways to encourage those different contrasts. Sometimes people tend to pull out their blow dryers here. I don't like to. I like to give that paint lots of time to do its thing. As if I'm blow drying, I'm interfering with those natural mingling of colors. And that's why it's also nice to kind of hang around and observe, because you just might see a way to engage with the paint. I'm always going to have little sparkles here because this is where I rub that wax. And so while it's flowing, you can see there's just little glowy bits. But placing some of those darks can really balance out your scene really nicely. Maybe a dark up here. And this is an area that's starting to dry. You can see how it doesn't bleed the same way. This is why I love playful painting, is when I'm painting without expectation, without feeling like I need to paint a specific scene, often that gives me a willingness to kind of break some rules or overwork my painting. And when I do that, I spend more time maybe painting when I ordinarily would have walked away to let things dry. But I also hold back when I might have otherwise rushed in. And so I give myself the opportunity to change some of my habits and do things differently than the way I usually would. I've painted vines many times before, so it's kind of fun to see them here. In my mind, this is maybe a little distant tree trunk. So there could be some leaves in front of it. That kind of looks like a nice little leaf edge. This could be a leaf edge. And I don't need to do much to make that feel like a leaf. I think I'm just going to leave it. It's totally okay to pause and wait till you see that next shape. Playful painting means you do what feels good. That's what playful people do. They play. Play means what feels right now. What feels natural. You're not obligated to do anything outside of that. Doing something bold, pure cobalt blue. Now I gotta put it somewhere else. You do something in one place, you gotta do it somewhere else. Now, one thing I try to pay attention to is my body language and my mindset. As soon as I start to feel a little lost, then I walk away. And so I'm feeling that way right now. I'm feeling like a fresh perspective and a fully dry painting is going to give me the most amount of options. And that means I get to continue my playful session in another painting session. And so rather than going in with watercolor and trying to build up my shapes with negative painting, I'm going to use some acrylic ink and a dip pen. And this is a metal nib. And it has a bit of flex to it, so if you press it on the paper, it spreads a little bit wider. But I'm just going to dip it in some of this copper ink and see if we can't make something a little bit more interesting than the usual technique that I would have tried. Just getting to draw out that ink. And I've already got ink all over my fingers. Now an acrylic ink will be permanent. I can paint over it. I kind of wish I had one with a little bit of a pen with a wider stroke, because this is going to be time consuming. But you know, if I just give myself into those beautiful shapes, I think that'll feel really nice. So truthfully, the lines are fun, but they're really slow. And so I'm kind of thinking that I'm going to just get my brush out. If play is becoming a priority for you, if you're willing to let play take first place once in a while, it really does a lot for your artistic habits and practice, because in that process, you get to find out, you get to use as your goal your inner motivations. What interests you? What do you really like? And not what does the painting demand. We also want to think about what the painting is seeming to suggest. But at the end of the day, it's what feels good right now, what feels like the right thing to do, and you might not always be right. I'm going to add some more red because I really like this deep scarlet. You might not always be right about what the painting needs, but you get to really start thinking about what you like, what motivates you. And that's going to make your art more authentic. I'm really liking that pop of bright red over top of other reds in the painting. Makes them stronger. A little line right there. Let's put a little red leaf down here too. that combination of the deep scarlet and the cobalt blue give me my darkest color that's going to be on this painting. It's almost black. So I'm feeling like my plan is not to finish this painting today. What I really wanted to demonstrate in this lesson was just to set aside a time in your painting practice to play, even just for a few minutes at the beginning of each session. When I come in here and fool around a little bit on this little painting, and maybe I draw it out for 5 or 6 painting sessions and just come and doodle a little bit in here every time. I'm sharpening my strategies. I'm learning about contrast and value and paint flow and line and negative painting and color mixing, and all of those things are happening in a painting where I feel like I don't have too much to lose. If this painting doesn't turn out, it's not the end of the world. It started out as an exercise in play, and it's just going to continue to be in that space. I have to continually remind myself of that, because often we do get in that mindset of feeling committed to a painting once we've been painting on it for a little while. But really, that's not necessary. Have a little fun, play for a while. You get to see how all of the little fooling around things you do here influence your future paintings to make them more exciting, stronger, and more like you. So how did that go? Are you feeling playful yet? I always insist to myself that I need to be willing to play for as long as it takes until I get into that unbridled creative zone, just free to pour it all out onto the paper. And you know, it's worth the time. I'd love to see what you've created inspired by today's video. Please post your work on social media with the hashtag World Watercolor Group or Angela Fehr Tutorials. Leave a comment down below and let me know how you play in your watercolors. And I can't wait to share another lesson with you next week. All through World Watercolor Month, I'll be sharing videos and lessons designed to help you be more creative, more heart-guided in your painting process, and really love your watercolor journey. No matter where you're at in skill level or style, there's a place for you in watercolor, and we want to let you pour it out. Thanks for watching. I'm Angela Fehr. Bye for now.